Let the vengeance begin!
Howdy howdy, Sue here, and welcome to another online ladder match with the Dwarfs facing up against the Skaven. For my line, on my edges I have the Dragonback Slayers on this side, and way over here I have another group of Slayers. On my front line I have the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, the Regiment of Renown with anti-infantry, and I have 4 units of Longbeards with 4 chevrons each. And in my back line I have the Bugman's Rangers, 2 on my right flank and 2 on my left flank, and down the middle I have the Grumbling Guard for their Vigor Aura. For my leadership I have a Rune Lord on his mount to defend against all that magic damage the Skaven can do with the Locust of Power, and he does have the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin to try to control Doom Wheels with a minus 48% speed. And on this side I also have a Runesmith, and he has a Rune of Wrath and Rude for that speed debuff, and also the Hammer of Karak draws for minus 44 melee attack, minus 25% weapon damage in case we come up against, Queek Head Taker or something like that. So for my opponent's army, the really fun army, he has Skaven Slaves in the front, 2 units of Skaven Slave Spears, and 3 units of regular Skaven Slaves. He does have 2 Doom Wheels. These are really hard to deal with, and that's precisely why I bring a Rune Lord and a Runesmith with the Rune of Wrath and Ruin for that minus 48% speed debuff. But the really fun part of his army, he has a Grey Slayer and 2 Plague Priests on the Screaming Bell mounts. There is a ton of debuffs and spells associated with these guys. He has Arcane Conduit, Vermintide, which spawns Clan Rats. He has Wither, minus 30 armor, Blessed with Filth, which is a poison, 40 meters around, Unholy Clamor, Leadership and Vigor, map wide. He has Scorch, which is a magical breath attack, which is not going to affect us that much. Plague Rash, which is minus 12% speed and minus 9% vigor map wide for 10 seconds, which is pretty huge against the Dwarfs. He does have Portents of Venomous Doom, minus 4 leadership around himself. The Wall of Unholy Sound, which is plus 4 leadership and plus 5 melee attack. And he does have his other abilities and does cause fear. For his backline, he does have Plague Monk Censer Bearers. These guys do magic damage, so they're not going to be really effective against us, but that Contaminated minus 10 leadership is a pretty big deal, and they do armor piercing damage, and they also have Frenzy. He has 2 units of those Plague Monk Censer Bearers and 2 units of regular Plague Monks down the middle. They don't have a whole lot of armor, but they do have bonus versus infantry, and they do have that Frenzy, which is plus 8 melee attack, immune to psychology, plus 8% charge bonus, and plus 12% weapon damage. So we'll get the fight going, and it's just a race to the top of the hill. I really want to get to the top of the hill. He really wants to get to the top of the hill, so I don't have to worry about a hill disadvantage. On this flank, I am bringing my Bugman Rangers around. I do want to get some good firing lines into the top of the hill, and I want to bring my Slayers around to get into some rear charges, to get into those big units. I finally can see them. On this flank, I do see the Doom Wheels coming at me, so I'm going to pull my Grumbling Guard in here. I do want to engage them with the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass and my Rune Lord, and I'm going to bring my Dragonback Slayers up and start shooting in here with my Bugman's Rangers. I do put the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin on this Doom Wheel for the minus 48% speed. I'm going to send my Dragonback Slayers to handle this Doom Wheel. My Bugman's Rangers are going to take that charge just fine because they have a charge defense against large, and they're going to take that magic damage. So I basically have 3 units on this Doom Wheel and 3 units on this Doom Wheel. I'm going to try and get them off the field as quickly as I can. He's got his heavy hitters coming up to the middle now. I am getting good firing lines. I'm getting my Bugman Rangers into position. I want to shoot into those big targets, the Plague Priest, so I'll do as little friendly fire as possible, and I am bringing my Slayers around onto that Plague Priest as well. I am bringing my Rune Smith to this side to get a Rune of Wrath and Ruin on one of these Doom Wheels so that I can hopefully control it and stop it from getting away. And the fight is on. We've got Longbeards versus Plague Monks and Slaves all the way up here. He does have this Grey Seer. The fight is pitched and bloody. Fantastic. We have spells going off. I have got my Slayers up here against this Plague Priest, and I am going to just shoot unimpeded up into this plague priest. So I'm going to do a lot of great damage. You can see these guys. Get up, boys. Come on, boys. Get up. Get up, boys. Oh. Well, maybe they're not getting up. Looks like they're sleeping. That's what I'll say. They're sleeping very peacefully. I have managed to route this doom wheel, but it's going to come back. I am going to send my Bugman Rangers after it. Hopefully he doesn't see it. And I'm trying to catch up to this doom wheel, but I just can't. So he's sending in these clan rats to just muck up everybody here. And he does a good job. He does free up that doom wheel. And he does get this doom wheel back as well. So I'm getting my Bugman's Rangers into position. I do see that doom wheel coming. I'm going to start shooting at it and try and get it off the field. I do not see this other doom wheel on this side. So I'm going to get into position, start shooting at it. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. These guys are ready for the charge. They're going to take it like champs because they do have charge defense against large. And not too bad. They really don't take a lot of damage, but I do not see this doom wheel. And this doom wheel is going to start going to work on me. I'm just shooting at this doom wheel. I want to get it off, and I don't notice the other one here. I'm back over here trying to get my troops sorted out. They're just this massive blob in the center. My units are doing pretty good. They're holding just fine, but these Plague Monk Sensor Bearers do armor piercing, and they do cause a -10 to leadership. So I've got my Runesmith up here. I'm going to reposition my Bugman's Rangers here to shoot into their big targets. I've got my Slayers chasing down here, and they're going to get surrounded by Skaven slaves, and he has some clan rats just to get his Grey Seer clear of that, and he's going to inundate these Slayers. They're all off on their own. They're going to have to fight tooth and nail. We've got a big screaming bell coming, but they have no fear. They're going to fight to the bitter end. Now this doom wheel has really done a lot of damage to these Bugman Rangers. I'm finally going to see that, and I'm going to try and bring my Rune Lord down here to deal with it. But you know, the damage has been done. I have routed this doom wheel. I've got some clan rats routing here, some summoned. I'm shooting right into this big blob. I'm repositioning these Bugman Rangers to get shots. These Grumbling Guard are doing a really great job. Now even with their aura, we're still very tired, and all my units are exhausted because of that vigor debuff these guys have. My Slayers are down to 26 models. They're going to keep going after the Grey Seer. I've got my Bugman Rangers position. I'm going to start shooting into this Grey Seer. I finally noticed this doom wheel, and I was bringing down my Rune Lord to try and deal with it. But then I thought better of it. I thought we're going to be able to handle it with these Bugman Rangers. Let them go to work. I need to get him back up to the center because it was looking really good for a long time. But now I've got units wavering. Even though I'm shooting in there, even though I got my Runesmith in there, I am going to start casting the Rune of Wrath and Rune and a Master Rune of Wrath and Rune on these Plague Monks and these Plague Monk Sensor Bearers. But you can see their leadership just tanks, and now I was actually really starting to get worried. I finally got this doom wheel off. I'm going to keep this Bugman Ranger on that doom wheel to keep it routing. I've got these Bugman Rangers in a great firing position to keep shooting at this Grey Seer. These Slayers only have 13 models left, and they're still fighting like champs. Love these guys. Fighting like tooth and nail up here. We've got the Grumbling Guard. They're just champs. I really love this unit. I've thrown my Runesmith and my Rune Lord into the fray to try and hold this line. You can see I've got a lot of wavering units, and now my units are routing, so I was really starting to get worried. So I stopped chasing this doom wheel. I need to bring these Bugman Rangers back to support this fight up here. I'm almost out of ammo with these Bugman Rangers. I've brought my Slayers in to try and support against this Grey Seer. He's bringing back some slaves, and it's just a big mess. He's got Blessed with Filth. He's got all his spells going off, and I'm just doing my very best to keep fighting. So I'm going to get my last shot off these Bugman Rangers, and I'm going to send them in right away. So the beauty of these Bugman Rangers is even in melee, they're actually pretty good, and they are full health. So I'm going to get the last shot off with these Bugman Rangers, send them in, get the last shots with these Bugman Rangers. I think I'm going to go after these Skaven slaves, but we are fighting tooth and nail up here. My Rune Lord is bloody, fighting as hard as he can. He's really starting to take damage. He's starting, and my Runesmith, you can see his leadership is going up and down, but finally all my units are rallying and they're coming back to the center. He's going to throw some magic down. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage to me, you know, a little bit, but we do have that magic resistance from the Locust of Power. These guys are out of ammo, so I'm going to send them after these Skaven slaves just to get them routing. I've got these Bugman Rangers up into the fight. My Grumbling Guard are still fighting like champs. Everyone's now coming up to the center to fight these Grey Seer and Plague Claw Catapult, or no, they on their Screaming Bell mounts. And finally these Grey Seer, this Plague Monk Sensor Bearers have routed. These Plague Monks have routed. These Clan Rats were summoned to come in and just get the line going. These guys are wavering, and all my units are finally getting into the fight. There's not a whole lot left. I'm going to go and route these guys off with my Bugman's Rangers really quickly just to get them routing. I don't want them to come back in the fight, and then I can send these guys back into this main melee because I really only have these two big units to go. I have no Slayers left. The Grumbling Guard are still fighting. They're down to how many models? 25 models. They've got no health left, and there is the fight. So just a pile of bodies on the top of this hill. Great fight. I love the build. Really, really fun. The Doom Wheels got 14 and 59 kills respectively. This is the Doom Wheel we were able to control. We got a good hold of that Doom Wheel early, but this is the one that went around their back line and got on my Bugman Rangers. These ones right here that only had a little bit of health left and only got 6 kills. I really didn't notice that in time and couldn't manage it. But you can see his Plague Monks, 44 kills, 45, 16, 44. They do have that armor piercing and magic damage, and all the debuffs, minus 30 armor to my troops. They really did a job. The Skaven Slaves only got 3, 4, 7, 4, and 1 kills, but that wasn't the point of those guys. They really were just there to exhaust my troops, and they really did a good job. Even with the buff from my Grumbling Guard, all my troops were exhausted. I just couldn't counteract that, which is really, really good against the Dwarfs because it lowers your armors a lot. Now my Longbeards did a good job, 59, 120, 185, and 67, and my Warriors of Dragonfire Pass got 51. Now that was a lot of Skaven Slaves. The Slayers got 80 and 44, and all of my Slayers fulfilled their Slayer Oath. Very, very proud of them today. My Grumbling Guard, 142 kills. They were the MVPs of this battle. My Bugman's Rangers, 12, 6, 43, and 49. They were really shooting into those big targets. Any of the kills they got other than those were mostly by accident, or a couple of them fighting at the very end, getting into the melee. These two units got up to the melee at the top. My Rune Lord did got 59 and 44 with my Runesmith, which you don't see very often, but again, Clan Rats and Summon Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, so really fun fight. Love the build from Froggy. Thanks for the fight. Hope you guys found it interesting. Love to hear those comments, what you thought of both the builds, and if you've faced Skaven online with the Dwarfs, what you thought the fight was like. You know, just anything. I really, really love hearing from you guys and your analysis and your thoughts on the match. So, again, hope you found it interesting, and I will see you soon.